Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back on the path to the Bismarck. This time we are at Tier 5 Bayern. So with that being said, let's look at our commander. We're running Henry J. Hyde. We are running Andrew Cunningham and Franz von Hipper as our inspirations. We have Flambeau Cannoneer, Aladad, Marksmanship, and we're running Master Mechanic. And we also use the Fight Fire with Fire as our legendary skill. Okay, so with that being said, let's look at our build. We are running Aiming Systems Mod 1, and we are running Steering Gears Mod 2. Loadout. Oh yeah, by the way, we are fully upgraded. Big surprise there, right? And boosters. We are not running any boosters. We have 5 heals. We have 3 secondary boosters. We have the community contributor flag and camo on this ship currently. For stats, we have 54,390 hit points with a 19% torpedo damage reduction. Main batteries, you have 380mm 45 caliber guns. You have 8 of those in a 4x2 configuration. They reach out to 17 kilometers, reload is 30 seconds, and they do, the worst part about this ship is the turret traverses 51.4 seconds, which is awful. Awful. HE shell maximum damage of 4,500 with a 35% chance to set fires. AP shell maximum damage is 10,900. Secondaries, you have 12 105mm 65 caliber guns that reach out to 6 kilometers with this build and reload in just 3.3 seconds. They have a maximum HE damage of 1200 with a 5% chance to set fires. Then you have 10 150mm 45 caliber guns that reach out to 6 kilometers and reload every 8.6 seconds, but they fire armor piercing with a maximum AP of 3700. Armor is where this ship really comes into its own. This is going to kind of show you guys why the Germans are ridiculously tanky. Okay, so look at this belt armor that goes all the way up to the bow. So you have 30mm at the bow. Okay, why is that important? That means you need at least 16-inch guns to overmatch. And by 16-inch guns, I mean you need, no, I lied. 30mm bow cannot even be overmatched by 16-inch guns. It has to be the 457mm guns of the 18-inch guns, like the Georgia. So this ship cannot be overmatched except for the upper and lower part of the front. If you shoot at the belt thinking you're going to go through, you're not. You're just going to shatter and ricochet. Okay? Beyond that, you can see that there is up to 200mm thick there at the thickest. And the orange is 40mm? No, that's the bottom. Is it not going to show it? Okay, so it's not going to show it. But yeah, so 30 to 200mm thick on the bow armor and the belt. Okay, so keep that in mind. If we get rid of all the other armor, you can see the citadel on the ship is submerged. And not only is it submerged, but it's not the largest in the world. It is from the front gun to the rear gun, but overall, not too bad. There's plenty of ship in the front and the rear, so that you're not going to get citadel through the front very often. About the only time you're going to citadel a Bayern is when it's in a very hard turn, and you can catch it with a raised citadel. Other than that, you're probably not going to citadel it, but you can absolutely pound it because just like the Americans, the German battleships have more hit points allocated to the superstructure, meaning if you are bow tanking in this thing, people can shred your superstructure for more damage. So keep that in mind. Alright, let's look at the overview. Ironclad, above average armor thickness, greater resistance to all forms of armor penetration, which we already talked about. It's got big guns. It's got 15-inch main batteries, which is big deal at tier 5. Why? Because 15-inch guns overmatch everything at its tier, other than another Bayern, obviously. So that is why these guns are such a big deal. When they behave, they are absolutely fantastic. But sluggish aim, below average main battery traverse speed, which we already talked about. These guns are slow as crap. There's only... I'm trying to think of another Tier 5 that has 15-inch guns, and that's the Queen Elizabeth and Warspite. Both the Queen Elizabeth and Warspite have better turret traverse, as well as having a faster reload. So keep that in mind as well. Bayern. This warship belonged to the last series of battleships built for the Imperial German Navy. She was distinguished for her powerful 380mm main guns, with the extremely good shell ballistics, and a rate of fire that was quite high relative to similar gun systems. She entered service in 1960. There were 4 of them in the series. So let's take a look at it. Again, I like the look of the German ships, I really do. The battleships for the German are very, very good looking ships. This is no different. I do like the Bayern, but again, it comes down to, for me, the guns tend to misbehave more often than you would prefer. And then on top of that, that slow reload for a 15-inch gun compared to, say, the Queen Elizabeth and the Warspite, which are both not only faster reloading and better traversing guns, they also are more accurate than this. So that's why this kind of tends to be overshadowed. But the tankiness of this thing is pretty much second to none for its tier. So with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Trident, and we are in the Bayern, obviously. Now, I'll be real honest with you guys. I screwed the pooch here. This video was supposed to be posted in 45 minutes from now, and I had it recorded and uploading last night. And I did my video for today, and deleted the video that was on the thing, assuming it had already uploaded. And then I checked my YouTube and found out that it was only 56% uploaded because my computer that I used to upload decided to restart in the middle of the upload. Yeah. So, whoops. But that being said, we're still going to make this a thing. And even though it'll be a late post, it'll still be posted, hopefully, within, a few hours. But I appreciate everybody hanging in there with me. I screw up occasionally. I can't help it. I'm human. But we're going to push out on this left side. Now, Trident is one of those matches that you really need to pay attention to what the enemy is doing. We are technically supposed to lose this side. That's how this is supposed to go. Wargaming always overmatches one side of the map. Now, as you can see, we have 2 people versus what should be an overwhelming majority of the enemy team. But if you pay attention, the enemy is actually going to be pretty dumb here. And they're all going to black hole towards the right side of the cap. Which actually is for the best for us in particular, because this is going to allow us to push up mostly uncontested on this left side. Now we see the Fuso immediately. We take a shot, and you can see I'm trying to maintain my forward over here. And very first shot gets a pretty solid result. You can't really ask for much more than almost 11,000 damage in the first salvo out of a German battleship at long range. Like, that's fantastic. The Tennessee comes around the corner. He's going to take a shot at us here, and unfortunately for him, his dispersion is awful. And we're going to take a shot back at him, and unfortunately for him, my dispersion is not as awful. But it's still pretty bad. We hit 2 ricochets on him. We get 1 shatter and only a 1 overpin for like 1,000 damage. So while the dispersion wasn't that bad, we still didn't do as much damage as I was hoping. Now there are 2 destroyers over here, and the reason I was taking such a wide angle initially was because of the destroyer. Usually there's a destroyer here, and I'm afraid that I'm going to walk into a wall of torpedoes. But given the fact that this Tennessee is the one spotting me, I feel pretty good about my chances. So I start turning in. Tennessee fires at me. He's going to get some damage off of us, but mostly overpins, nothing too bad. And we managed to bounce and ricochet a lot of his shells. Meanwhile, we just smashed him. And the one thing good about this is that it's got 15-inch guns, while the turrets are absolutely crap. When it comes to traverse, they still have the overmatching ability, and this Tennessee is getting ripped apart because we are getting really good RNG. Now, because of this, I'm starting to feel pretty confident, so I'm going to start pushing towards him. Now, obviously, he misplays his shot here, ends up landing in front of me mostly. So good for us. Not so good for him. We're about to get our shot off again, and once again, showcasing the turning ability of this ship. The German battleships generally turn pretty well. I want to say, with the exception of the Gneisenau. The Gneisenau doesn't turn. Oh my god! Where did those torpedoes come from? Dang it! Well, I guess there is a destroyer here after all. So we're going to have to pay attention to that. Again, our armor holds up. Tennessee gets basically nothing off of us.
All stations, concentrate fire on the target.
And we're going to shoot over the bow. Now you can see we're aiming high on the superstructure. He is turning slightly, so we're going to try to lead him as best we can. We want these shots to hit that superstructure, come down through the deck if we can. And unfortunately, we only get 2 hits that time. Now, this Pensacola here, I'm asking over chat. I'm like, dude, can you please get up here and try to at least find this destroyer that's out in front of me? Because I can't really do anything about it if I can't see it. But we're going to use the island here. We're also going to try to continue to stay bow in towards the Tennessee. I'm not afraid so much of the Tennessee as I am the destroyer. And once again, I make my turn to get ready and hit this man with a full broadside. Not always recommended, by the way, but if you've got an option to do it, you might as well take it, right? And also, I want to change course for the torpedoes that are coming. And sure enough, he gets an absolute god salvo of armor piercing away, and I get very fortunate that he hit so far to the rear that he got a lot of overpins. But we do get the Benson spotted at like 6 kilometers. You can see I'm pinging him pretty hard. I want the Pensacola behind me to push up and help me. He's only 6 kilometers away. Our secondaries are starting to rip him apart. We get the shot out, and of course our dispersion is awful. Only getting 3 hits out of a full broadside at 6 kilometers on a stationary destroyer. Now that time, the Tennessee gets a much better salvo. Well, worse dispersion, but he gets 2 full penetrations for like 7K on me. And this Pensacola is more focused on HE spamming the frickin' Tennessee than moving up and helping me find the destroyer and helping me finish the destroyer, which is not preferable. One of the first jobs of a cruiser is to help find and remove destroyers from the game. But you can see here, we were anticipating more torpedoes. They get spotted. We're already in a good spot to dodge. We're able to slow down and turn out very, very quickly and avoid any more potential damage from those torpedoes. But then we need to start turning back in and start trying to head towards the enemy base. We have 50,000 damage already. We've done pretty good for ourselves, so we can't really complain there. The Tennessee is actually going to make the right play here and come back to fight me head on. And I say this is the right play because he knows that I'm going for his base. Like, the rest of his team is engaged with my team. My carrier's behind me, but not really doing anything to help me. We've got a Pensacola nearby who refuses to get anywhere near potentially getting shot at. I mean, good lord. Wouldn't want a Pensacola to get shot at, right? Floating Citadel of Sadness is guaranteed to be dev struck by everything, right? It's definitely not one of the most maneuverable ships in the game and easily can dodge most salvos at any sort of range. But I digress. The enemy carrier has come in and he's starting to drop torpedoes on us, which is not preferable because they're going to hurt. And there's really nothing I can do about it. So we're going to take one of these torpedoes, and we get pretty fortunate. It's not too bad. We don't get flooded. It's not bad. However, we're going to push out. We're going to try to get another shot here on the Tennessee who just fired at us. And again, he's over angled to us, so I'm going to try to aim towards the front. You can see I'm struggling with the turret traverse, but I'm also trying to turn in and maybe cause these not to arm. But of course they do arm. Well, one of them armed, one of them didn't. And the one that armed knocks out my propulsion. So I have to fix that. And as soon as I fix that, I'm going to regret life choices. Because they still have the torpedo bombers near me. Well, I say that and his torpedo bombers just left. So maybe we get lucky for now. But now I've got nowhere to hide. I'm broadside onto an American battleship. This is not where you want to be. This island is really screwing me over right now, and he gets God salvo again. Luckily for me, once again, he's hitting towards the rear of my ship, so he's limited on how much damage he's getting off of me, which is a big deal. When you're getting overpens with a battleship for 1,200 instead of getting full penetrations for 4,000 or a potential citadel, which on this, unlikely a citadel, but you could potentially get 4,000 damage or per shell hit rather than 1,600 per shell hit. That's a big difference. And so we get fortunate there, and now we are going to go in towards bow tanking and hopefully get in enough, but he actually gets one more good couple penetrations before we're get angled enough, and then the bomb drop comes in and knocks out my propulsion again. Now the good news is I overmatched this guy's bow. We already know this. We've talked about the Tennessee relatively recently. We know that we overmatch him, and this dispersion is fantastic. And we smashed through his bow for almost 12,000 damage done. And then the Pensacola starts shooting him again. And unfortunately, Pensacola just can't hit, apparently. That's another thing that he's struggling with. But we're angled pretty well. He's not able to do much to us. He gets bad dispersion as well. And you can see the Pensacola's just missing every shot. But we're shooting right at his bow again. Not expecting the front guns to finish him. We get hit again. We only got 1,800 health left. We're going to go ahead and swing the rear back around, try to finish this man off. And sure enough, we managed to take down the Tennessee. Now, we are healing. We still got one heal left after this, so I'm hopeful that we'll be fine. But unfortunately, being in a German battleship against an aircraft carrier with armor-piercing bombs is not a lot of fun. Now, we do have the Fuso out here, so might as well take as much damage as we can off of everybody to give our team the best possible chance of pulling this off. And this Fuso doesn't even realize that I'm here. Like, he has completely tunnel visioned on the people that he's shooting at. He is completely unaware that the guy behind him has lost, and it is me firing at a broadside of him. Now, with that shot, that's going to wake him up. He is going to start to turn towards us, which I don't notice right away. And that's going to affect my next shot. This shot could have been even better than the last, but notice on the mini-map he is starting to turn towards us, and so I'm going to lead him essentially the same that I was leading him, but because he's in a turn towards us, I'm actually going to overshoot him a little bit. These are going to land high, which is going to give me over penetrations, and that dispersion could have been really, really good, but because we hit so high, we don't get much out of it. So a wasted opportunity there. Now, for now, we have managed to avoid the angst of the carrier, which is nice. But he is coming back in, and we kind of tip our hand a little too early by showing the carrier that I'm turning all the way in. He actually drops them much sooner. He gets the flood that he wanted. Of course he does. And so that is a really unfortunate thing. Now, we're going to turn out and try to get the guns on the Fuso again. He's burning twice, which is good. We're going to try to finish him off if we can, and that'll give our team a much better chance here. Dispersion not great here, but we do get a couple penetrations. One pen, one overpen, and then, of course, the torpedoes come in from the opposite flank and finish me off. Nothing I can do about it. German AA sucks, and they also just aren't the greatest against anything. Armor-piercing bombs tend to citadel German battleships, and on top of that, you don't have the torpedo reduction that you need. But we did the best we could. We ended up with 94,000 damage, which is a respectable game at Tier 5. I think this was a Tier 6 lobby, so I think we did pretty well there. Friendly Vesa is moving up our flank, so he's pretty safe. The guys on the right side managed to win their side. They still have a Colorado, I believe, over here on the flank, and he's very low health. So between the Pensacola and the friendly Budjani, we're going to be able to finish that guy off. And not so much the Pensacola, it's mostly the Budjani. But you can see Pensacola takes a shot at him, and Budjani's gets there and finishes him off. Now, Budjani has played a pretty solid game. Now, I have no idea how much damage he ends up getting in this match, so I can't really tell you what he's gotten. But considering all of the targets he was against, he was in a target-rich environment, he was able to sit in the back, probably burn things down really, really easily. So he's probably got himself one heck of a game. And this Pensacola is the complete opposite of that. Only reason the Pensacola even has a kill at this point is because we took all of its health. He didn't move up to help with the destroyer, and Budjani actually gets an opportunity here to shoot the destroyer. the enemy Benson puts himself out there, and you can see he's lit up right now. And this guy is not even paying attention. Like, the Bajani is not paying attention whatsoever. His guns are still rotating away from the Benson, so you know he's not looking at the Benson. And by the time he does look at the Benson, it's too late. The Benson's behind an island. But our team just needs to get into the base here. The Pensacola should have gotten into the base after I died. He'd have been able to have had the base cap to guarantee the win. But Johnny dropped some widespread torpedoes into an island. Not exactly sure what he thought he was getting there, but maybe he thought the destroyer was coming on the inside of the island. Didn't notice he was on the backside. But other than that, these guys, by these guys, I mean the Bajani played a pretty solid game. I don't know how much the carrier ended up doing, and I don't know how much the Pensacola was able to do. It didn't look like the Pensacola was very. Now here's an interesting one. This is something that happens to a lot of people when they're trying to dodge. You over-rotate the ship. And if he had started turning left, and this isn't a criticism for him, this is just me noticing something and pointing it out because it happens to a lot of people. When you turn in towards torpedoes like that, you've got to account for the fact that your ship is going to continue to drift, and if you over-rotate the front, your rear is going to hit that torpedo. And that's exactly what happened to the Bajani right there. It's something that as a battleship player, when you're dodging torpedoes, you have to be really, really paying attention to because your ship has so much momentum. So you have to account for that. Once you get the nose of the ship in the spot that you want, you have to make sure you start turning that rudder the other direction. And that'll help fight the fact that your ship wants to keep sliding into those torpedoes. And that, like I said, it's not a knock on this Bajani. He's played a good game. I'm not saying anything negative on him. It's just something that I noticed and I know a lot of people struggle with, so I like to point that out because I'm relatively pretty good at dodging torpedoes most of the time, even in battleships. But it's just one of those things. You learn over time. The Benson on the enemy team actually threw this game for his team. Like, he could have easily won this game. Easily won this game. If he'd have came back and dropped torps, the Bajani and the Pensacola were sailing right towards his carrier. He could have easily caught one of them or two of them and finished them off. He could have pushed me a lot harder than he did, and he would have killed me. Second on the team, though, Bajani coming in tops, well done with 2,000 base. We got right at 2,000 base almost. So if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.